people are trying to get people to move in a certain direction, their own frustrations and their own lack of emotional intelligence get in the way. And if you're going to get someone to buy into learning something new or taking a different approach, or most important, which so many people struggle with, is embracing change, there's three things you need to know. One is the relevance to them. Why would it be relevant for me to care enough about this to do something different? Second, how do I apply it? Give me the roadmap that will make this as easy as humanly possible so I barely have to do any heavy lifting to make this happen. And the third is, and this doesn't apply in all cases, is practice. And when I think about practice, Malcolm Gladwell has published a blog that it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill that you would need to practice over and over. And what's interesting to me about that is communication, which you could argue is probably the most essential skill of all, is never really practiced. And when I ask people, how do you become more confident communicator? How do you become more effective if there's an area you've identified that you're not great at? They're like, I don't know. I just try to figure it out. Yet, if you were an athlete, if you were a musician, or if you were an actor, you would go to a coach. You would go to a trainer. You would get online education. You would pursue knowledge and support to develop your skills. But when it comes to communication, there is virtually no proactive steps that are taken by companies, aside from getting outside training or trying to do it themselves, to really develop people's skill sets around communication. So when I look at departmental collaboration and collaboration within a company, and I say, what goes wrong? What are some things that are going to go wrong? And as you're listening to the show today, I want you to think about something. Before I go any further, I want you to think about the biggest communication challenge you face in your own life. And just to make that simple, when I say communication challenge, there's 3 steps to this to develop some awareness around this. First, who is the person that you have this challenge with? Is it a friend, a family member, a peer, a supervisor, someone that reports to you? Who is the challenge with? The second thing is, what is it that you're not able to do? Is it you're not able to express your feelings in a succinct way or in an emotionally intelligent way so the other person won't feel defensive or accused? Is it that you struggle with being assertive and often opt to be aggressive or passive instead? Is it you tend to react defensively when you're criticized? Is it that you have trouble receiving or initiating feedback because you doubt what you have to say is interesting or relevant? Those are a handful of ideas, but as you're trying to understand your communication challenge, think about this. If it's a family challenge, think about the cost and consequences of not having open and honest communication. And if people are holding back and they aren't sharing, think about that. Think about in the workplace. If people don't feel comfortable expressing their ideas or needs and wants, what's the cost of that? Now, when I ask that to executives a lot, they'll give me I guess there wouldn't be as much engagement, or perhaps people won't be as happy in the workplace. Well, that's true. That's true, but these things are contagious. So in a culture, in an organization, if people don't feel safe sharing these things, then it often affects their self-esteem. It affects their confidence. So what starts out as what you might perceive as a simple level problem expands into self-doubt. And when self-doubt starts to creep in, your motivation and passion for doing what you do suffers, and then those are the root causes of what contributes to poor engagement and poor culture. And so a lot of times in corporate America, things are measured by KPIs, which stand for key performance indicators. And in the sales world, as an example, people are always talking about ROI, return on investment. The problem with communication, the problem with emotional intelligence is they're a little bit nebulous to measure. And so a lot of times when a company says to me, you know, if I'm going to hire you for sales training, what are the results I'm going to see? You know, are my sales going to go up? Are they going to go down? I say, well, no, that wouldn't necessarily be a clear indicator because they could go up or go down regardless of how good or bad my training is.